WWE announced record profits ahead of last night's roster cuts. Multiple creative changes have taken place for a top AEW star, and a popular AEW star is returning soon. Find out who in a bit. So literally like an hour and a half before reports started emerging that WWE had released many main roster and NXT stars. If you want to see the full list, it's on Cultaholic.com or check the previous video. WWE held their quarterly conference call with investors, and it was all good news financially before they released about 20 people. So in this call, Vince, Stephanie, Nick Khan, all speaking. Thanks to a more robust traveling schedule, WWE's reported third quarter revenues were up 15% to a record $255.8 million year over year, one of several key numbers announced by the company last night. In the release, they said that their North American attendance drew the highest quarterly average in more than a decade. Their live event revenue was up to $28 million year over year, with consumer products up to $25.1 million. Now, those are just numbers to me, but they're big numbers. They're big numbers.
Very big numbers.
So yeah, right, great, good. That's excellent. They said that they're very happy with the company's current financial position and, as expected, optimistic about the future. It's once again the timing of this whole thing. It's just, I think it's like a PR disaster. It is. It's really.
It's not even a PR disaster. It almost feels deliberate now. It's like, we made all this money. Well, see you later.
It is deliberate because they're getting a head start on the new quarter. So next month they've saved a bit more cash.
Contracts, and boom, we've got an extra $5 million that is profit. Yeah, it's unspent cash.
Right, and it's once again fueled speculation that WWE are looking to sell. Like, I don't want to say trimming the fat because it's not doing that, and that's a disservice to those released. But it's inflating the the finances.
This is it, and the more that they report profits, the higher and higher that stock's going to get. And if they are looking to sell, then you need a highest possible stock number to really maximize your profits on the way out.
It looks, great on paper. And part of me always thinks that maybe they do this. When I said the PR thing, it's because I think, they do this and then they do the releases immediately afterwards. In an effort to sort of bury the release news because people will be talking about how much money they're making.
That's it. Like the press, the kind of wider press are going to be talking the financials, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas it's us who talk the talent. And it very rarely bleeds over, unless, of course, we're seeing a situation in which people are being fired for not being vaccinated, at which point I think that might bleed through more into the American mainstream news. But even at the same time, as you said, it's just kind of like huge profits, see you later. And it's almost like they do that double whammy of big good news, big bad news, and then that's it. They don't have to worry about the bad news coming anymore.
Yeah, maybe that's it. I think it's very, very distasteful when obviously some of the releases reportedly due to wrestlers not being vaccinated, but largely it was due to budgetary reasons.
Well, it's
like you're recording record profits. How awful.
It's always budget cut. But at the same time, you can't blame anybody else for having a roster the size, of a small army.
Did it to themselves, didn't they? That was their strategy for a long time.
The fact that it's like 70 talents released over the past year alone, that's more than the entire roster in the early 90s, right? Like, it's got to be.
It's up there. Anyway, other key notes from the investors' call. Stephanie McMahon saying that SummerSlam viewership was up 55% from 2020 on both WWE Network and Peacock. Obviously, with the Peacock thing, it's made it a lot more accessible to people as well, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
Because they sign up to Peacock and they've got loads and loads of content on their WWE is just part of that.
I want to see 30 Rock, but also, Raw. And if you've not watched it in 20 years, you're going to be excited for all of 5 minutes.
They are the #1 sports brand on TikTok with nearly 15 million followers. That's just on one account alone.
It terrifies me, TikTok. I still need to get my head around it.
I don't understand it. We've got a TikTok at Cultaholic.
I still don't understand it.
Fraser got me doing some videos for it. I felt like the oldest man in the world.
This is it. He's like, I've got ideas for you, and he kind of smiles at me, and I'm like, oh no.
Adam, we want you to do a silly dance again.
Can you sing this High School Musical song?
Yeah, right. And finally, Khan said that they're happy with the NXT relaunch and that several call-ups have already happened. The recruiting effort, led by Paul Levesque and Bruce Pritchard, is focused on young athletes. Khan also stated that many more NXT call-ups will be taking place. Well, there are a fair few that won't be taking place now.
But I mean, the whole thing with NXT now is that is an inevitability. That you've kind of done away with the NXT where talents stay there.
Oh yeah, it's a totally different beast now, isn't it? Classic NXT is gone. It's not coming back. This is their new strategy. This is what they're doing, and like it or lump it, right?
Yeah.
Moving on, one of the released stars from yesterday, perhaps the most surprising, in fact, Keith Lee, confirming that Bearcat was not his idea. Following the news of his release from WWE, Keith Lee responding to a fan on Instagram who claimed that the Bearcat gimmick was Lee's idea. And Lee quickly shot that down and said, no, it was not. Lol. Lol.
Just the idea of Keith Lee going, I know, I'm Keith Lee. Let's be Bearcat Lee instead.
You know what? I like it, and I like the historical significance of it, and it wouldn't have surprised me had it been him. I think people got really upset because, like, hey, he's been Keith Lee forever.
Yeah.
You know, he's limitless and all this. But actually, I thought the Bearcat nickname, it sort of grew on me a little bit quite quickly. I didn't mind it.
The one thing that I'm looking forward to the most now that Keith Lee is off to become a megastar with a company that will probably utilise him a lot better is the fact that, fingers crossed, we're going to get that original theme back.
Oh, yeah.
Original theme.
Yeah, don't get your hopes up. And Karrion Kross also commenting on Instagram saying that the GIMP outfit was his idea, and if you don't appreciate it, then you're kink shaming. I made that one up. Multiple creative changes for a top AEW star. This comes from Fightful Select, reporting that creative for Miro has changed often recently. Before the decision was made to have him replace Jon Moxley in the Eliminator tournament, we send our best to Jon Moxley, of course, there were multiple scrapped plans and pitches for what Miro could do next, but none are known. So it's sort of, this to me reads that AEW don't quite know what to do with him at the moment.
Yeah, there's always going to be this kind of feel with talent, I believe, after you get somebody in and that's just sort of an all-rounder. Miro's such a good all-round talent that it's sort of...
And they dropped the ball quickly, didn't they?
They dropped the ball pretty quickly with it, and it's just a bit like, well, maybe we've got to try this, maybe this.
They got it working, man. That TNT title reign was great. It's just what he needed. Yeah. And now, again, I don't want to say they've dropped the ball, but yeah, it's certainly...
It's just starting to kind of, if it's a spinning top, it's starting to do that.
There you go.
It's just a bit like, ooh.
So hopefully, I think there are lots of interesting things they could do with the Eliminator tournament stuff. Hopefully this gets him back on track. It's nice to see stories play within a tournament.
Exactly. And you know he's going to maximise whatever he's given, and we know that he's capable of great things. So it's just going to be those dominoes falling in the right order and everything will be perfect.
For sure. 3 title matches have been announced for Impact's Turning Point. The X Division title, Trey Miguel versus Laredo Kid. Laredo Kid. Knockouts title, Mickie James versus Mercedes Martinez. Of course, Martinez winning the Knockouts Knockdown tournament.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that should be really good, shouldn't it? And the Knockouts Tag Team titles on the line. The Inspiration taking on Decay.
Again, it should be brilliant.
First one I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Here's the rematch. Should be good. Shaping up to be a very decent show indeed. And finally, a popular AEW star is returning soon. Anthony Ogogo has returned to the United States after undergoing eye surgery. This comes from QT Marshall, speaking with Daily DDT. And he said he just came back. He was overseas getting everything taken care of. So we'll see. He also indicated there are no immediate creative plans for Ogogo to return to the active AEW roster. He said, I think it's about right place, right time, and trying to figure out the right story as well. But in the meantime, he's been training and working out and doing what he does. He'll be ready when the call comes. It'll be good to see him back on our screens for sure. I enjoyed the stuff with Cody. I'm still not convinced on the result of it all, but
with somebody with the conditioning of a boxer, you know that they're just going to work until something hits, right? So fingers crossed, Anthony Ogogo, it's just going to be a case of, as QT Marshall said, just biding time, and then maybe that opportunity arises. But surely, if they're looking to do a featured show in the UK, which has been discussed by Tony Khan, Anthony Ogogo has to feature in that, because he is, while he's not like a mega household name, people still remember him from the time with the Olympic boxing, and he's very much somebody that a name people would recognise.
Especially in the UK, he'll draw eyes to the product without a doubt, and probably shift to
he'll be all over morning TV and everything.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So we send Anthony our best. Thank you very much for tuning in to the Cultaholic Wrestling News. We might see you again for another one, depending on what breaks. It's obviously been a very, very big 24 hours or so. In the wrestling world, there's a lot to talk about. We'll do so very shortly. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye.
See you.